So Nick Pena is the owner and guide of Food Tour New Mexico, and he's joining us on Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, Be Merry show today. Of course, we're your hosts, Nancy and Lisa, publishers of Big Blend Radio and TV Magazine and Parks and Travel Magazine. And we were in Santa Fe to explore the national parks, like Bandelier National Monument. We went through the downtown, the plaza. We just had an awesome experience. And our very final stop was with Nick. And he took us on a food, and I'm going to say a food and history tour of Santa Fe, the city different. And I encourage you to go to his website, foodtournewmexico.com. He's not only in Santa Fe, but also in Albuquerque. So, Nick, how are you doing?
Doing awesome. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey,
Cool.
I know. This is cool. So we have a Taste of Santa Fe segment going on. We've also got Rick, that is over at the Thunderbird Bar and Grill. And the Thunderbird is part of your tours, right?
They're part of the New Mexican Flavors Tour, that we do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
How many different tours do you have?
We offer 3 in Santa Fe on any given day, and we do 2 in Albuquerque and Old Town.
Oh, wow. So
cool.
Old Town and Albuquerque, we haven't been there yet. We have no clue.
Yeah, it's essentially the downtown, sort of the beginning part of Albuquerque. Was settled in 1703. It's sort of like our plaza, if you will.
Oh, okay. We'll have
Nice.
to check that out. We'll have to check. Is Albuquerque different to Santa Fe in food? Because, Santa Fe, you gave us like this background of history. And I think that when someone goes to Santa Fe, should like hook up with your tour at the beginning, because your food is part of the cultural and historical roots.
Definitely. Yeah, we definitely recommend you come and join us at the beginning of your trip, not only to learn about the city and the food and the history and whatnot, but we're all local, so we have these insights to the state and each city that you would only get from like a local, and we kind of act as a concierge along the way. So lots of value outside of just the history and food that you learn on the tour. Yeah.
No, I think it's good because then you know where you want to eat for sure.
I know, but listen, I didn't realize it was going to be that much fun. It was like our last stop. We were running out, and we were with another mother-daughter team. You had 2 mother-daughters with
That was fun.
teams with you. And one ended up they ended up in a pedicab while we're walking. It was like this different trip, but it was really fun and really cool. And I didn't know we would have that much wine and margaritas and then end with that hot chocolate. Well, it's not even hot chocolate. It's drinking chocolate.
It's drinking chocolate. It's inspired by the Aztecs. The Aztecs had a Mesoamerican chocolate elixir that only the royals used originally. It also goes into the Mayan culture as well. But later on, the Aztecs used it as a ritual prior to going into battle. So it was almost like their Red Bull.
Wow.
when they went into battle. But it's a Cacao Chocolate House. So we go in and do some of their elixirs along the way.
It was really nice because at the end of Governors, they were really nice welcome little gifts for us, and they had some of their truffles in there. So some of them we had beforehand. But the drinking chocolate, I'm allergic to almonds and nuts, but you guys are like, oh no, well you can have this type and that, because there was almond milk seemed to be a base. Right?
Some of them use almond milk, and most of them are pure chocolate, pure cacao. So there's no added sweeteners, anything like that. So what they do to kind of cut it a little bit is to add things like almond milk. But there's some, such as the Aztec that you had, that has just chili and pure chocolate.
Oh man, I drove all the way back to Orange, Colorado through storms and wildfires, and I'm like, dude, get out of my way! I'm coming.
Hopefully you weren't speeding.
I know.
No, of course not.
All of a sudden, I felt this like energy and this that was like a power.
That was good.
That they say on their website too, like it's an elixir, and I'm like, that's different. You don't really hear the word elixir in our normal menus these days, and so that was something different to have the elixir.
Yeah, and that's what we like to do, try and do things different that people wouldn't necessarily order on their own. And so
right, I don't think I would have done that. I would have probably just stuck to have a little chocolate nibble and not do the drinking chocolate. But now I think that when we're on deadline, like I need to go back there just for that elixir chocolate, so I can keep going. I'm like, yes, I can publish this menu.
I think you can buy it online.
Cool.
And make it at home.
I know, we're just all like, woo. But really the the interesting thing, you start in the plaza, right? Is that where all your
Yeah.
tours happen?
Yes.
And you told us some interesting history about the plaza and that monument. And I started to dig it up, and I'm like, no way, I got to go back, got to go back to Nick on this, because you were talking about how the monument had people had actually scratched out on the marble,
Mm-hmm.
and how part of this history of this monument in the plaza, because basically Santa Fe, this plaza is what, from the 1600s, 1607, when the city was founded.
The city was founded by the Spanish in 1609.
Oh, 1600.
And it was established as a Spanish settlement. There were Native people living in the area, long before then. Relative to that monument, there's marble inscriptions, and one of the words that was actually chiseled out of the marble was savage. And that monument was actually erected in 1866. And there's no real story. I've tried to dig into it several times, and I've asked a lot of local people and historians and whatnot. Nobody can give me any solid information of who this person was, anything like that. The story goes that somebody just jumped the fence one day, chiseled it out of the marble, and basically called it a day. Nobody knows the name of the guy or lady that actually did that. I just think it's interesting because it was shortly after it was erected. So, mid to late 1800s. And, the government at the time had the means to re-inscribe that word if they so chose. So I think it's interesting that they've actually left it off of the marble, even, dating back to that time.
I think that's really fascinating. That's the kind of tidbits that you learn on a tour that you don't get if you're strolling around on your own. And, that's great. There's like a wonderful downtown walking tour map of the Santa Fe Trail. And so you can read and get the history. But when you're with a tour guide, it's like us going in national parks, right? With the rangers, Nancy. It's the same kind of thing. You find these little tidbits and you really get to understand a taste of a region, not just culinary, but the roots. When you think of Santa Fe, to me, it's got Spanish, Native American, it's got Mexican, European flavors too, right? So this is like an amalgamation of food in one city that doesn't feel like a city at all to me. It feels like a art town, or just like chilled out, and I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a city to me.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
You can walk it.
It's definitely tiny, and it has definitely a European vibe. The most common response I get from our guests is that they feel like they're in a whole other country. And it's really the architecture more than anything else.
Yeah. So why did you decide to start the food tour? And you have different guides that go out, but what led you to say, hey, I'm going to take people on tours and walking tours, which is good. We need it because we're eating a lot of good food.
Right. Well, it started kind of around 2010. I had just actually lost my father when I was 25, and I just kind of had some epiphanies in life and wanted to do something not only that gave back to the community and the city, but also I wanted to be my own boss,
Right. Yep.
And really kind of inspired by his life. And I had a friend that actually started a similar business in Scottsdale. And so I picked her brain and kind of thought, why shouldn't I be doing this in Santa Fe? It's a huge culinary destination, and there's nothing like it. So I kind of just figured it out, put it together, put together this awesome experience. And I kind of used the model of my, basically my life, where my mother would have family coming into town, and she would take people around drinking margaritas, eating food, telling stories. So it was kind of after I put it all together, the business part of it was kind of like, oh gosh, I gotta figure out all this stuff I have no idea about. But the actual execution of it came very naturally to me. I thought, we always kind of treat everybody like family, and kind of always had that motto.
I think it's part of the experience, right, Nancy, is having the right guide with you.
Oh, of course. And I think there's a front side and a back side to a business. And so the part that you are eager to do and feels right to you, it might be the back side, or it could be the front side. In your case, it's the front side, and you're out there with people and you like people and you can tell. So
right.
It makes it comfy.
Mm-hmm.
And also, and it's good. The backside of the business, that's where you have to learn books and the
Yeah,
website,
the
all that.
caca stuff, right? That's like, it makes you just go to a food tour before you do
Yeah,
it.
For a
yeah,
reason.
that's right.
Makes you drink margaritas.
Yeah.
But we found it to be very important to what we experienced there.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we go off on our own, and we're good at that, but we always find when somebody is really into it and takes you around, that you learn way more.
Yeah.
I think you're more relaxed. You can remember things more than like, let's go real fast and just get it done. I don't know. I thought it was just the idea of, oh, we're going to go here and we're going to taste this. And we're going to talk about it. Then we're going to go here and we're going to taste this and talk about it. It was very relaxed, but it wasn't like overly long.
Yeah,
Right.
Done
and
a
you
really
got
good
into
job.
each person's experience. Like you're like,
Yeah.
you're into parks, you got to go to 10 Rocks, you got to go here. It's like you're
Right.
giving us this. You're like a walking visitor bureau, but in a very fun
Yeah.
way. Because we got
Mhm.
wine and
I
food.
think you did a really good job.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite tours, actually.
Yeah,
I'd do it again.
we had a blast, and
Yeah,
it
we
was
did.
cool. And we were with the right people. Does it seem to be that way with the guests that all go in together? Doesn't seem like you do like major, where it's like too many people on a trip.
We max out at around 16, but we have done like corporate team building groups that are much larger. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
we like to fit whatever you want. So
Yeah.
people are coming in and wanting to do a private tour. We kind of customize it for those people in particular. But our everyday public tours range anywhere on average from 6 to 14 people.
That's nice.
So it's manageable. It's still very smooth. I joke around a lot that it takes a lot of sort of back end work to make it look as smooth as it is and as easy as it is when it goes from, to all the logistics and the food and whatnot. But ultimately, we just want our guests to learn about what they're interested in. So some people come and they just want to know about the food. And so we kind of focus more on that and other restaurants and whatnot. And some people want to know more about the history, and we do our best, to give them that information. But some people want to know where to go hike and, where to go out at night, or what's fun, or what art galleries to see, or, what's new in town, what restaurants are new. So it really, like I said, we kind of act as personal concierge in a way. I mean, I've seen our guides, make reservations for people, and
That's cool.
pull things up on their phone to book tickets, and so it's
Get pedicabs.
yeah.
People.
That was a first.
That was so cool. And you even went to
Yeah.
go give him pizza, and he's like, "No, I'm a vegan. Sorry." But it was so cool. I didn't expect the pizza part. That was the last thing in my mind to go
Right.
to. You're in New Mexico, and you didn't think about pizza, and you never thought like Santa Fe would have its own pizza, because you said even Albuquerque pizza would kind of be a little bit different, but you'd have a chili base too, right?
No, I think what it comes down to is that, pizza is almost like a universal language now. I mean, it comes from Italy. We all get that, but everybody likes to customize and make it their own. So there's definitely like traditional pizza places in Santa Fe and in Albuquerque. But then there's some places like the one we went to, which is Upper Crust Pizza, that they want to kind of make something a little bit more fun. So their New Mexican pizza in particular is kind of pulling from the flavors of what New Mexican cuisine is, a little bit spicy. They have that chorizo.
I liked it.
They use cheddar cheese as opposed to like a mozzarella with, red chili in the sauce and fresh onion and tomato, and it's grilled, and the crust is like perfect. And so definitely a unique pie there for sure.
And we had local beer. Local New Mexico beer. So I found out that New Mexico has its own beer trail. You have your own wineries. Of course, you have a margarita trail in Santa Fe, but you have a beer trail too. And I got to have some of the local beer, which was nice. And at Upper Crust Pizza, I'm like, well, I've had wine and margarita. Why not, go to beer now? Because you're supposed to mix the grape and the grain, right?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, we have an amazing, our wine history is pretty phenomenal. We have some of the oldest grapes that were ever grown for wine production in the United States. We're here in New Mexico. A lot of people don't realize that, we have such a deep-rooted wine history. But yeah, we have this huge kind of explosion in breweries. I mean, several dozen breweries throughout the state now, gold medal winners, and just phenomenal brewers, and just awesome beer. So yeah, on top of the margaritas. So definitely gotta make time for all of it, you know?
Yeah. And so the other part, I think the first thing was really, to me, very interesting was when we went to La Posada. And I know one of our travel writers, Debbie Stone, she spent the night in the haunted hotel
Yes.
there.
Mhm.
And, but you took us to the restaurant. We got to sit outside and have a light white wine and had pozole with, it had pork and this beautiful red chili sauce. It was hearty. It was like really tasty. It was hearty, but not too much to be too filling. You know what I mean? It was like the perfect size and perfect pairing. But the pozole was different than the pozole we had when we were at La Fonda Hotel at, is it La Pozuela? Am I saying it right?
Pozuela, yep.
Yeah, at the restaurant. I had a little bit there, and I think I had pozole all over that where we went. But it was different in all the different places. Is that normal that it would change? Like that was in a sauce. The other one was like kind of on the side. You know what I mean? It seems different.
No, yeah, you totally. That's a great observation. Essentially, what pozole is the corn. So it's a type of corn. It's dried corn that's reconstituted into like slow cooked in this stew. It becomes more like al dente and easily edible at that point. But everybody makes it differently. So I like to use the analogy of like, you know, if there's 10 people in a room and we all had to make beef stew with the same ingredients, all 10 would be different, right? But it's still beef stew. So it's the same kind of idea. All of the pozoles throughout New Mexico are all slightly different. Everybody kind of has their own little recipes and whatnot, but the common denominator is that corn, that pozole corn. So that's what makes it makes the dish essentially.
Wow, it was really good. And I think the chili, and that's the thing. So you have red chili and green chili, but that Santa Fe is known for is that's Christmas year round if you order both at the same time. And I think Santa Fe goes far beyond like that. You can order both. The flavors are just, every place is uniquely different, and to have different margaritas that are fresh and refreshing, you know, there's something to be said about fresh and refreshing.
Yeah. It's a tough life. You know.
Very sad.
Do it, though. Yeah.
Very, very sad. Now, San Francisco, we went to the San Francisco San
Francisco Street Bar and Grill. Yeah.
Bar and Grill. So we had enchiladas. Nancy was very happy about the enchiladas.
I love my enchiladas.
You can live on enchiladas. Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
That was like, would that be like if you've never been to New Mexico, it's your first time in Santa Fe, would you say that would be one of the welcoming dishes?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it starts with everybody's spice level. For the most part in the downtown area, you'll get pretty mild spice when it comes to the spectrum of heat. But you got to do enchiladas. You got to do a breakfast burrito. You got to do a green chili cheeseburger. I mean, ultimately I could list, 10, 15 things.
I like the green chili.
You have to try. So
there's vegetarian food. Like I had the calabacita because I'm actually pretty much vegetarian as much as I can be, and as vegan as I can be. I'm not doing very well at it. But the calabacita, is that something that I've never seen it anywhere else on a menu?
Yeah,
and I had that at the
time I've seen it.
And I thought that seemed very different.
So are you talking about in relation to the enchilada?
No, I'm not
just
going
in
on.
General.
Just a calabacita wrap. Was that?
Yeah.
Well, enchilada is like a different kind of wrap in a way.
Right. So the calabacitas dish actually is a very, very Native American inspired dish. So the things that grew most abundantly that the natives grew were corn, beans, and squash. They called them the three sisters, and they all grew kind of symbiotically, and typically in waffle gardens. And so a lot of times you'll see, this combination of like a corn and a squash dish, and that's what you'll sort of see. Calabacitas are also like is a rough translation to squash, the plant as well. So a lot of times when we'll do the vegetarian enchilada, they will do like almost like a calabacitas dish stuffed into the enchilada as opposed to a chicken or beef or something like that. But everybody has their own vegetarian version as well.
It reminds me of crepes in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of crepes, don't you think, Nancy? In South Africa, crepes is always a big deal. Yeah,
you kind of think crepes more as a dessert and sweet.
Mm.
Oh, it depends on where you are, I suppose. It's interesting, but you said Waffle Garden. I want to touch on that because that's a very Southwestern thing that you don't see everywhere around the world or the country.
Mm.
And we experienced the Waffle Garden at Rail Yard Park while we were in Santa Fe, and at Bandelier, and I think even at Chaco, but Bandelier National Monument, they had like a little, in Aztec, I think, did it. So it's basically, am I right that it's in the circular, like, well, these are ruins now, with the circular structure of where it's almost like a walled-in garden, but it's kind of grown in
like a waffle.
It looks like a waffle when you look at the circular thing. It's a waffle with water that comes in.
So the shape of them were, kind of varied, but essentially it's the idea of the waffle. So the trough that a waffle makes, of the pattern of a waffle, there's like a trough and a peak.
Yeah.
So they would mostly plant these gardens near, arroyos, which are kind of like our drainages, or rivers that may flow during rain, the rainy season or something like that. And what would happen is those troughs would hold any water that would be raining, or maybe they were able to sort of flood irrigate a little bit. And they would plant a squash plant in the center of that, along with a corn plant. I don't know the chemical composition of what corn and squash do, but they work together in the soil. So one provides, carbon, one nitrogen, something relative to that, where it helps them basically grow together. The squash will essentially fan over the ground and sort of shade the ground so that it helps retain the moisture, and the beans they would plant around it and would climb the corn stalk.
Wow.
So they all sort of work together from my understanding. Obviously, I'm not an expert in waffle gardens, but that's my understanding of them.
Well, that's cool because that's companion planting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the corn grows tall. The beans crawl up the corn. So instead of on the ground, and the squash shades the roots.
Exactly.
Too. Then when you're looking at waffles,
I'm all good.
The trough. So the butter goes through your waffle.
I want some chicken now.
How the water helps.
I want some chicken.
That's right. That's right.
So I was like, well, it's true.
I like it. That's cool.
It's making me hungry for chicken and waffles too now. Thank you.
And I'll just say, I know, chicken and waffles and margaritas now. It's just like, let's get culturally blended and perfect. Yes, that's awesome. With beans on the side, we can do that, So you've got these different trips. So one of the ladies that were with us, they came to Santa Fe because of your tour.
Yeah, they
for your tour.
Yeah, right.
And they mentioned that they were originally booked on the night tour, and something happened in regards to their scheduling.
Right.
But you have these evening dinner tours, because that sounds magical to me.
Yeah.
Santa Fe, walking around at night. I know we did the Santa Fe Beat That music concert, and the downtown is it's magical in the plaza. So tell us about that.
It is. Yeah. So that's a 4-course, 3-stop dinner tour. Everything's wine paired. It's similar to the tour you took in like logistics and timing and whatnot, but it starts later on in the evening. It starts at 4:30 and typically ends, I want to say 5:30, 6:30, 7, around 7:30, depending on the size of the group and all of that. But we started that tour a couple years ago, and it's definitely gaining popularity. The tour you all took is by far our top tour, though.
Yeah, I bet.
All the rest. It's ironically enough, it's called the Taste of Santa Fe. So
it really just opened our eyes into an understanding, and again understanding the history. On the tour, you took us to some historic sites like the Loretto. The Loretto Chapel. We went to the San Miguel Mission, which is the oldest church. Upper Crust Pizza is right next door to the old house in the country. Turns out to be the I think it was the uncle of our friend Tanya Ortega runs it or owns it. I think something like
the oldest house museum.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, the Ortegas are the big name apparently in Santa Fe and New Mexico.
Sure.
But she was like, "Oh, you got to go there." I'm like, "We did on Nick's tour." I was talking about you on a radio show recently.
Oh, that's awesome.
But anyway, yeah. So Santa Fe, the food, you got chocolate, you got oh my gosh, all the chilies and, all of that good thing. You're
Yeah.
talking about the original things, but now I have a question. This is very important because
Okay.
it's happy hour right now. So I'm going to ask you the favorite happy hour question. If you could take anyone in the world, alive or passed on, for happy hour in Santa Fe, who would it be? It could be anybody that, just anybody. It could be anyone, could be fictional from a book. Bring them to Santa Fe. Who would it be? Where are you going to spend happy hour? What are you going to drink? And what are you going to talk about? And you can add the food in because I know you like that too.
All right, I got you. It would have to be my dad. And I think in true form, in my true form, there's no way I could do one place. So we'd probably start at the Bell Tower Bar, and we would do the Mana Margarita, and work our way over to Secreto Lounge.
These are all places we've totally missed out. Are you telling me we have to come back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If you don't spend like 6 months here, you haven't even cracked the surface. So
I believe it. I believe it.
Secreto Lounge. Probably pop over to Thunderbird or to the draft station there and enjoy the music and people watching from the balcony there. Yeah.
And did you talk about what you're doing now?
Probably not, actually. Probably not. I think we would probably catch up a little bit, but not necessarily in the present. So
is there going to be a specific cocktail at all that you'd both enjoy or food there?
The funny thing is, my dad wasn't a drinker, so he would probably be the designated walker.
Cool.
And I'd probably do the Mana Margarita over at the Bell Tower.
Manta Margarita. Mana. Okay.
Yeah. We actually just wrote about it on our blog, the Food Tour New Mexico blog. Carla Gilfellen, she's an awesome mixologist. She invented it. It's a really great margarita, and probably one of the best views in Santa Fe.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because of our ordinance, most buildings are under 3 stories, and the La Fonda Hotel, as you know, where you stayed, is over 3 stories. It's up to 5, and the top there is the Bell Tower Bar on the 5th floor, and it overlooks the whole city. It's an awesome view.
Well, Nancy, we missed out. We're going to go back, so I want to try that. So you're going to order that.
Better hop in the car.
Any specific food? Because I got to ask you on the food since,
food-wise, one of my favorite places is a place called Jambo Cafe. It's near St. Michael's and Cerrillos Road, and like a little strip mall next to like Payless Shoe Store. But it's Afro-Caribbean cuisine. My buddy Ahmed Obo, he's a executive chef there, and just love his food and try and eat it as often as possible.
Right on. So Caribbean food. Nice. You wouldn't think that. Yeah. And that's something to say because, I think we all just migrate to the downtown plaza and the downtown district, which is obviously you must.
Right.
But there are these places like with Valeyard Park to me was something that was a really amazing adventure with the Conservancy, the 3 girls running it, Christy and Shannon and Rebecca, what they're doing there. I mean, these gardens, and they have fruit trees, and people walking through can harvest food and eat if they need to eat, or want to. I thought it was just it was like this amazing community effort. And I think that's the other side of Santa Fe that people don't get to see. Is that part. And so what you're saying, I find that a lot of good food is in strip malls, and we have all the time. Serious. We want to go to the fancy la-di-da, but it's the strip malls, and people are just like down home, real stuff going on.
Yeah, I think people forget that, yes, New Mexico is known for our New Mexican food, but Santa Fe is such a culinary destination. We have some of the most amazing chefs in the country in Santa Fe, and they're not just cooking enchiladas and green chili stew, so which there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, that's what we all are raised on. That's what our community is built on. But there's some very talented chefs doing some really amazing cuisines that are outside of the New Mexican food genre, I guess you could say.
Last
Cool.
thing, Albuquerque, because I know you do tours in Albuquerque, and we haven't been to Albuquerque yet. So I always use the yet word because we eventually get everywhere.
We'll get there.
But what would you say, like, for someone who's never been there like us, and first, obviously we're going to call you as soon as we get there and say, okay, like, we need a food tour. But what would you say for someone who's never been there, doesn't understand the cuisine there? What would be like the Albuquerque dish?
When it comes to dishes in particular, I think that if you're coming to New Mexico at all, whether it's Santa Fe or Albuquerque, you got to do the New Mexican food to start with. It's the only place you're going to get it.
Yeah, right. So the green chilies
enchiladas, burgers, tamales, green chili cheeseburgers,
chili rellenos.
rellenos.
Oh.
I would check out Church Street Cafe in Old Town. I would check out Duran's Market as well. Some of my favorites. But yeah, you gotta go with New Mexican to start. If you're in New Mexico, got to start there.
Start there, start exploring.
Yep.
Sounds like we need to come back already. Not a problem.
I know some places to eat, so just let me know.
I know. We'll call you as soon as we start heading back this way. We're going to call you because that was so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us. And
thanks for having me.
Thank you for the awesome tour. And everyone, if you go to Santa Fe, check out santafe.org. It is the city different. And also keep up with Nick. Go to foodtournewmexico.com. We want to thank our sponsor of today's show, the International Food, Wine Travel Writers Association. Go to ifwtwa.org. All these travel writers are coming to Santa Fe in November for their annual conference, and they need to do your tour. I'm just saying, and I'm allowed to say it if I want. It's our show. If you don't go on Nick's tour, I'm sorry, you missed out. Wah, wah.
Yeah, really.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you all for having me. I hope to see you again soon.
You will.